What's up, guys? Welcome back to Van TV Media. Of course, if you're new, please just consider subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so that in case we do upload any story, you'll be the first one to view. My people, Michael Langley landed here in Kenya, and I heard there's an interview he had explaining on why he decided to make a sentiment that he made upon President of Burkina Faso, Ibrahim Traoré. Guys, I would like to share with you the interview that he had, how he tried to clarify on why he said about that sentiment that Ibrahim Traoré, the leader of Burkina Faso, is using gold for his own benefit. Before we proceed, just subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification bell if you've not done so.
About countries perhaps taking up their own autonomy. General, let's talk about countries taking on their own autonomy. You are on African soil, not for the first time, but this would be a good moment to ask about one of the countries that has taken its own autonomy, and that's Burkina Faso. Yeah. Your remarks recently at the Senate seem to suggest that he's diverting, General Traoré, is diverting its 4 billion gold reserves to sustain his military rule rather than for public welfare. These remarks sparked widespread condemnation across the continent. What did you mean by that statement?
Let me speak to Burkina Faso's sovereignty. They maintain their sovereignty. They make their decisions how they use their resources. They make their decisions who their resources go to for military support. That's their sovereign right. But my cautionary tale was just from a military perspective. That was a Senate Armed Services Committee asking me a direct question. Burkina Faso, a lot of great things going on to progress them forward, okay? But then when you look at the military part of it, knowing that that's the epicenter of global terrorism, it was my time to illuminate that this is probably their weakest point, and there needs to be sufficient resources going towards for the whole fight of terrorism in that country. Period. They make their decisions, though. That's their sovereignty, their sovereign right to make their decisions, what is appropriate, what's not. But I wanted to illuminate that it's going in the wrong direction now. ISIS is getting stronger. JNIM is getting stronger. Al-Qaeda in the lands of the Maghreb is getting stronger in that country.
And do you think it's getting stronger after General Traoré took over?
It has. Just look at the numbers of attacks. It really has, since 2022. I've been tracking this since I took command. So, no ill will towards him, but the decisions is their own. They're looking for other ways to be able to, they're still on warfighting footing. It's just going to take more resources.
So you stand by that statement? Because there's been pressure on you to walk those statements back.
That's my statement. That's my assessment. That is getting worse. More needs to be done for not just local, but whole of country, because of these violent extremist organizations are seeking revenue. They're seeking resources. They're seeking recruiting from the Burkinabe people. And they're seeking refuge within their country. That threatens their sovereignty.
Okay. And that threatens America's interest?
Say again?
Does that then threaten America's interests?
Yes, thank you for asking that. Because especially ISIS, and of course, in East Africa is inextricably linked all the way to ISIS West Africa, ISIS Sahel, and there's going to be probably a move afoot for them to move and seek refuge within the line. So we have shared objectives. And we offer to work together with the Burkina government and border countries. Mali, Niger, coastal West Africa countries collective, because here's what these organizations do. Here's what these terrorist organizations do. They seek refuge in the seams or the borders of these countries and lets them thrive and grow and lets them recruit, gain resources to carry on their illicit and nefarious activities against the populations of those people.
And what would America, perhaps AFRICOM, be prepared to do? Would you be considering an ouster like we saw with Muammar Gaddafi in Libya? Because there's still many Africans who are yet to recover from that. If this is a bigger threat, as you say, in Burkina Faso, what is AFRICOM prepared to do about it?
We do indications and warnings. There's a number of activities that we do, and we'll just go ahead and mention building institutional capacity. There's not going to be U.S. boots on the ground. Very, very small for exchange of ideas and training, exercises. Over time, that builds institutional capacity and capability in these armies. There, AFRICOM, we are working towards a burden sharing and a burden shift for their independent operations. That's our goal. We have the shared objectives because these same terrorist groups can threaten our homeland. So we're in concert. I was just an African Lion over in Morocco. A number of countries working together to be able to
Is Burkina Faso invited here today for this conference?
Yes. Yes. They were invited to African Lion in Morocco. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Like I said, we're moving forward.
Okay.
We're moving forward because we have that shared goal of defeating terrorism.
All right.
Right. Hope you've seen on how the leader of AFRICOM said about that sentiment. He shows that he cares about the people of West Africa very well. He cares on how the gold is being used, how the resources that are in West Africa is being used by the people of Burkina Faso, or rather than them using them to fund the terrorists in West Africa, the way he has claimed. He has claimed that the gold that is being used, the gold that is being mined in West Africa, is used to fund the terrorists of West Africa. He has said since Ibrahim Traoré came to power of Burkina Faso, there are so many cases of terrorists in West Africa, right? We see it's not only in West Africa. We've seen different places where even Central Africa, we see Republic, DRC, we've seen terrorists are there. They have not said anything about that. We see in Somalia we have terrorists. They have not said about that. Why is it that they are dwelling in West countries only? Why is it that they are trying to make their interest in West countries? Because you see, for us, we know that Ibrahim Traoré is the man who have come out as an African to fight neocolonialism. So these West people have decided to make sure on how they can do away with Ibrahim Traoré, because they know Ibrahim Traoré has an influence here in Africa. What he does, most African leaders may came up and decided to do so the way he is doing. So this is the thing that has made them to realize that in case they will not control Ibrahim Traoré, Ibrahim Traoré will control all Africa. And whenever Ibrahim Traoré controls all Africa, West countries, white people will suffer a lot. Because you see, this small time that Ibrahim Traoré has ruled West Africa, There are some of the differences that has happened in some of the countries that were pending on Burkina Faso to get the resources which are there, resources like gold and uranium. So most of the countries that were dwelling in Burkina Faso have got large effects. They have been affected most. So they are just using this Michael Langley. They are just using America, USA to make sure that they can do away with Ibrahim Traoré the way Gaddafi was eliminated. Because you see, Gaddafi was was spreading the same information to people of Africa. Sankara was spreading the same things, stories here in Africa. That's why they eliminated them. They assassinated them. So they are trying to make sure, they are trying to make a way that Ibrahim Traoré to be eliminated from leadership of Burkina Faso. He has been asked, well, so that insecurity that is talking about, the terrorists that are being sponsored in Burkina Faso, in West Africa, how does it affect United States? He's just coming on, after those terrorists, after the instability of the West, they will be having so many refugees. West America, USA will know on how they can control the refugee, on how they can do what about the refugee. Yet we know when Donald Trump came into the leadership of United States, the first thing he said that he don't want to see the refugees in America, whereby the refugees that were there in West America that were black, they were taken away, and he decided to get out the refugees, to get out people from South Africa who are white, and given them the label of white refugees. So for the Michael Langley, we don't agree with him on about the security that are there in West Africa. What we know that the terrorists that are there in West Africa are being planned by the enemy of West Africans. Those terrorists are being planned by the enemy of Burkina Faso, are being planned by the enemy of Niger, are being planned by the enemy of Mali. And those enemies are from the France, because since Ibrahim Traoré blocked France from getting the resources which they were getting in Burkina Faso before, they became angry on that matter and decided to sponsor the enemies to come into Burkina Faso in form of terrorists. Because last time we saw trucks carrying weapons, trucks carrying terrorists to go to Burkina Faso so that they can assassinate Ibrahim Traoré. That's what we know. What we know. For now, we are following the social media. Social media is posting each and every time what is happening in Burkina Faso. Don't think that what you did to Sankara, what you did to Gaddafi, you will do the same to Ibrahim Traoré. Because now Africans are welcome. Now Africans are now making sure that Ibrahim Traoré is the man needs to be protected. Ibrahim Traoré is the man needs to fulfill his mission of uniting Africa. Ibrahim Traoré is the man who will make Africans to do away with the neocolonialism. So those words that you are portraying to Ibrahim Traoré, as we African, as the youth of Africa, will not tolerate. We will not accept what you've been sent to come and do here in Africa. And we are urging the leaders of Africans to come up and gang up to protect Ibrahim Traoré, to make sure that Ibrahim Traoré is being protected, because Ibrahim Traoré needs protection. Ibrahim Traoré needs protection from those West countries, and the big enemy here in Africa is the Michael Langley. This is the man who is being used by the West to come to Africa to check on which country is the best, which country has the best resources to come and dwell in, because they have seen Burkina Faso is the country that is having the resources which they need to have to use. That's why they are fighting Ibrahim Traoré. They know Ibrahim Traoré, with Ibrahim Traoré, their mission will not be accomplished. So you've seen some of the people reacting on social media since Michael Langley came here in Kenya. Some of them, guys, so that's a good idea, but we don't know what's happened with Kenya. We don't know why these people are being allowed to come here in Kenya. But because we know where in Kenya we are the betrayal. Some of the leaders, we residents of Kenya, we people of Kenya, we don't have that spirit. But the leaders of Kenya are the one who betrayed us. Why can't the leader of Kenya allow someone like Michael Langley to come to Kenya? Yet we know Michael Langley is the enemy of Africa. Michael Langley is the enemy of our most beloved leader, Ibrahim Traoré. You are just giving Ibrahim Traoré names. Who is using gold to maintain himself? Who Ibrahim Traoré is a dictator? Who he does what he sponsors the terrorist? Yet you are the one sponsoring those terrorists. So guys, we are supposed to wake up as an African people. We are supposed to know that we African, we are supposed to come together so that this neocolonialism that is there, these things that are here that had been said by Michael Langley, that Ibrahim Traoré is the West Africa is the one sponsoring the terrorists. We are supposed to overcome this, and we are supposed to expose those people who are doing those things, who are sponsoring the terrorists here in Africa. And guys, let us meet in the next episode. And remember, if you've not subscribed to this channel, subscribe to the channel so that in case we do upload any story, you'll be the first one to view.